we should be reinventing Sardar Patel. Probably the need to understand him, the time to emulate him and understand his vision, his clarity of thought, his vision is required in India today more than ever before. Not only India is under transition, India is having an orbital shift from a certain type of governance, from a certain type of a government structures, societal structures, but also its place in the global order. The world is also undergoing a great transformation. And whenever the change comes, the most important things are your clarity of vision. You're not getting blinded by the dust and the storms, not getting overawed by the noise and the threats. You're not getting subdued by the adversities and the possible threats. You have to prepare yourself and you have to equip yourself. And that is what Sardar Patel's whole life was all about. Whether it was pre-independence, where he played a very similar role as a warrior of freedom movement, supporting Mahatma Gandhi in all his ventures, but also in a short time, in the post-independent period, that he was able not to unify the states, but to integrate India, bring up that understanding in 560 princely states that it was in their interest that India as a state survives, strengthens, and is able to take care of this old civilization which was experimenting with converting itself into a nation state. Converting a civilization into a nation state is a stupendous task. He knew that it can only be done through very powerful governance mechanism. The government has got to think and do beyond what is normally expected. And that is how he envisaged, and I am grateful that Dr. Harvanshji told us about how his vision of the All India services, he is the patron saint, the mentor of that. Despite resistance and strong prejudice at that time in the civil services, probably he was able to prevail that without the steel structure, we will not be able to create a new India. Ladies and gentlemen, power of the nations, whether they are powerful or weak, or the comprehensive national power, is a very abstract word. In reality, it is the power of the governments, and it is the power of the governance. When the governments are weak, when the governments are confused, when the governments are imbued by the self-interest, probably the consequences also are similar. And these governments work through institutions. And in the task of nation building, the most important matter are the people who build and nurture these institutions, who strengthen these institutions, because these institutions provide the governance, and the governance creates the nations and the powerful states. Sardar Patel's role in this is self-evident. The rise and fall of the great empires, monarchies, oligarchies, aristocracies, or democracies is actually the history of their governance. Edward Gibbon, in 6 volumes on the decline of Roman power, way back about 1788 or something, there he wrote those volumes. The whole book is about the intrigues of the Roman Empire, instances of its bad governance, corruption, economic mismanagement, security failures. And at the end of it, it all boils down to the Roman Empire fell because it was administered and governed badly. Same is the story of whether it's the French Revolution, or the Tsarist Russia, or the Mughal Empire, they declined. In the post-war period, out of 37 countries that faced various degrees of degradation, 28 failed or got degraded or got balkanized because of their poor governance. And the recent cases of the change of regimes through non-constitutional methods in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and others were actually the gilding cases of the bad governance. And that is how the governance matters. Transcending beyond time and space, there are some commonalities. Why some states rise and why some fall? Why there are times when, what is there that happens which leads to their bad governance and ultimately the erosion of their powers? One has been the authoritarianism. Not that I am going in history, but I am telling it because it remains relevant today. It has remained relevant for the past 3,000 years of the recorded history that we know of the states, structures, and the governments as they existed, whether it was the Greek states or it was the modern democracies and even the oligarchies and others. So authoritarianism, that is oppressive and discriminating laws, poor delivery of justice, marginalized population, human rights violations, they all constituted or added to the fall of these nations. Second important thing has been the institutional decay. The institutes start decaying, both civil and military. Security structures, their armies become corrupt or oppressive, or their internal security structures collapse. Bureaucracies become inept, slow, corrupt, and insensitive. There is no accountability. People do not know why they are doing what they are doing. I tell you an example that once when Bismarck, before the Russia war, had visited Germany, and he went to a forest area for things, and he found a military man standing at a post. He asked him, "What are you here for?" He said, "I do not know, but I had been on this duty for the last 3 years. So he said, I would have to check up." And then he checked up. And then he found that his commanding officer also did not know, but he said, "My battalion has been here for the last 20 years. And this is one point that has been given to us to guard." He said, "What are you guarding against and against whom?" He says, "That I am not aware, but I can check it up and find out whether in my regiment there is some records." So he went through that, and then after long research and others, Bismarck found that about 150 years back when Tsarina had come on a horseback for a hunting, and she lost her necklace in the forest. She could not locate it there, so returned, but asked her ADC to put somebody on the guard duty and sent some people tomorrow to search it. Probably some people came or did not come, but that necklace was not found. Necklace was forgotten to everyone. Nobody knows what happened to the necklace. But for 180 years, the sentry was still on the duty. This is how the decay starts, and that is when Bismarck predicted that this nation and this regime will not last. And that's what happened. Another factor is the economic failures, scarcities, the food. Actually, a large number of civilizations, this thing, because of the economic meltdown. Harappa, Mohenjo-daro and other civilizations, now increasing evidence is coming forth that probably the essentials of survival will become scarce over there. The food, the water, the inflation, oppressive taxes, social unrest, they become the cause of the state federalists. They are the old ones. They still exist. They still exist and they continue to beleaguer the emerging societies. But the new ones have cropped up and have made the situation more complex.